Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is maintaining frame number 97, I think.
I suppose so.
I think it is.
Right,
98, 98, 98.
98. Okay, 98.
Yeah, I was off by one. And what was that?
Want me to say the title since I was the one that thought.
Yeah, well, already. Yeah, go ahead. Since you came up with it.
Afraid of being replaced by fembots? Watch this, because we will be having the fembot discussion. We will be answering the fembot question. Oh man, that's probably pretty edgy, isn't it? Okay, all right. So I just want to remind everybody that we are doing our monthly fundraiser at feedthebadger.com/support. We are in our last week, so please do consider to help us out because we have a ways to go. About 3,700 and something, I think. So if you would help out, that would be greatly appreciated because we are able to continue to give you this content because you do support us, and for basically that's the reason, because nobody else supports us. You support us. At least Twitter's indifferent, but you know, we exist because you guys support us. So feedthebadger.com/support. And if you would like to send us a message at any point throughout the show, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. If you want to give us your very your important thoughts on the topic of fembots. You remember Austin Powers, the fembots?
Of course. Yeah. Of course I do.
If you want to give us your very important thoughts and we have us respond to them, you can do so at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. You get the full benefit of not sending those comments through the YouTube comment thresher system, and we get the full benefit of whatever funds you send. So it's a win-win. Not much of a win for YouTube, but you know, who's counting, right? All right, so feedthebadger.com/support to support the show, feedthebadger.com/justthetip to send us a message, and let's begin, I suppose. I apologize.
Yeah.
For speaking in the background, that is my German Shepherd who believes that I should be playing fetch with him and not doing this show. So.
Something seems to be going on with Rumble. I'm gonna just try to connect. Yeah, I know it's weird. But no, I think I can salvage it. Hold on.
All right.
Let me just try to do this really quick.
Houston,
because Rumble's not getting it. Yeah, there was some stupid shit happening with our Restream.io, and we got it figured out. So. Rumble, hold on just a moment. You might be getting your data here in just a second. I'm just waiting for the RTMP to get. Oh, come on. What's going on?
It's like we're in an air traffic control tower or a launch.
Yeah.
The launch control center.
It's very lame. Is
it though?
Okay.
I mean, because the thing is that we are trying to make this as accessible to people as possible, and it's not like any of these platforms are making it easy for us.
Yeah.
You know, like YouTube.
Just, I think it's gonna. Yeah. Okay. It's getting it now. So
there we go.
You should be seeing it soon. Sorry for the confusion.
All right.
Okay, so anyway, so you should be seeing us in just a moment. I'm just waiting to make sure it does before we get into the video. Do you have any time codes for this, by the way?
No, I don't. It was just 12 minutes, so I figured we could do that in like 36 hours.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, it is divided into chapters. Yeah, so maybe it will work.
If we get bored of a chapter, we can always skip to the next one. Like if she starts to repeat herself, which I imagine she will, you know, just be like, you know what? If she starts to do the whole, I'm secretly wanting to be a novelist, but I just don't have the skill to write a compelling story kind of journal, we can always just skip that, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, let's go. Let's look at the intro and whatnot. So swapping to the scenes that matter. Okay. This is a video entitled Fembots Explain the Sinister Reality of Perfect Robot Women and AI by The Take. I'm sure this is going to be really educational and enlightening, and it will save lives. I'm thinking it'll save lives. So, all right.
Certain it will.
Let's play the intro to this.
The perfect woman doesn't exist, but that doesn't mean that men haven't long tried to create her. Fembots are robots designed to look and act like women, or rather, what men wish women would look and act like.
You want to rule the world. No, I can fix you. I can change you. What have they done to you?
You know what?
Yes.
This is dehumanizing. Like right off the bat, this woman is dehumanizing men. This isn't what men want from women. It's what paranoid women think men want from women. You actually ask women who are paid to provide the things that women like this don't provide, and what is it? A girlfriend experience. Someone who will listen to him and not make him feel like he's eternally on call for her needs, while completely swallowing his own. That's what that's what a lot of women who are in sex work say about men and what they want. I mean, yeah, the obvious, but also just a woman who doesn't judge them, doesn't expect more than they're capable of, doesn't treat them like they have to constantly prove themselves, constantly make more money, constantly do things better, you know, like this. It's just the desire for a woman who treats them like someone they love, that she loves.
Yeah, I mean this video opens up with a straw man, basically.
Yes, it
just opens up with like a straw man about men, and it is dehumanizing, and that's by design. So, and of course what's funny too is that it uses media made by people who are feminist sympathetic to make the point about what men want. So they're using, this is like the thing about media critics, like a lot of these feminist media critics. They're criticizing feminist media, and then they're saying this is what men want. Anyway, all right. So next time we pause, let me know that you're so that I can switch scenes, so that we have the vertical matches, so that we have the vertical setup. That is correct. Okay, let's play the next bit.
Let's get busy.
Usually beautiful and completely programmable, the fembot is an idealized, eroticized iteration of femininity. A woman.
That wasn't a robot. This woman here.
Fembot is an idealized, eroticized.
This is literally, Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. Like, she's literally a killer. Like, not like this is not. And in fact, the funny thing is that so just gonna put it out there. I didn't hate Terminator 3. It wasn't James Cameron, I know. But as far as Terminator sequels go, it was probably the best of the ones after Part 2, okay? But they literally made a female Terminator for that movie because there were feminists saying, why aren't there female Terminators? And then the female Terminator, the Terminatrix is what they call it, which is sort of like a spin on Dominatrix, because this is the only thing feminists can think about when it comes to empowered women, is actually using her sexuality as a weapon to get close to John Connor. Like, she not seduces, but she tries to inflate her breasts to get a cop to let her go when he pulls her over early on. But and she's like a superior model to the old T-800, which is still played by Schwarzenegger. Like, they're literally doing like a feminist powers fantasy in Terminator 3, and now they're acting like this is the opposite of that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, I know exactly what you're saying. What we're looking at is the feminist imaginings of what men want, and also feminist inspired female power fantasies. And they're basically looking at what they think men want and saying that's what men want. Because of course they're defining it for men, and then they're saying they're defining what men want, and then they're saying when men only want one thing and it's horrible. And this is like this right here. We see why men are turning away from women, because women refuse, or at least women like this, and women like this apparently talk for a lot of women, considering they have 1 million views. Obviously I don't talk for many women. Look at how many views we get. Look at how many subscribers we have. These people, 1.4 million. So these people talk for women.
Yeah.
These people are the ones who women resonate with. And apparently this is what women think men want. And it's dehumanizing. The real reason why men are turning away from women, and not even turning away for sex bots, because there aren't really any right now, they're just turning away, is because of this. Because women present the notion, they define what men want, and they define it in the most dehumanizing terms, and then they are surprised when men are turning away. Like, what men want, in my opinion, from all of my observations, what men want is to feel like it's possible for them to be loved. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's what men want. And this is what feminists say men want. It's not actually what men want. It's what, and then feminist reference, just like they do with all of their studies and statistics and everything, they reference themselves as evidence for themselves, for their own assertions. Patriarchy is real. Cite me saying that just then. Fully proven. Like, or patriarchy of our imagination is real. Okay, this is infuriating. Right off the bat, this is infuriating.
Yeah.
And again, like, it's astounding that this content gets so many views.
Yeah, and all they're doing is they're essentially just putting in clips from any film that features a woman playing the role of something artificial and then putting it all under the same umbrella. It's almost like you couldn't even explore a concept where there is an artificial woman and without it being attached to this thing that they made up, because these are this is media created by feminists, but like maybe they did it in the 90s, and now they're looking at that and saying, oh, it's so, now we're gonna rewrite history of this history of culture, and then we're gonna pin it on men, and then we're gonna make it modern, and then compare it to like wherever we are now on the progressive slide towards oblivion, and then we're gonna still shame the past, even though again this is not something that men made for their own satisfaction. So I don't know, it's just crazy. I got a super chat from Trey Money V, and they say they make everything to be some malicious attack. Yeah, it's all about the constant framing of everything as bad. So all right, let's get back to the video.
Exploration of femininity. A woman without opinions, preferences, or sexual agency. She frequently appears in sci-fi and horror movies as a way of exploring.
Are you freaking kidding?
The Bride of Frankenstein too.
Frankenstein? Like what?
Yeah, right? Like again, like wasn't this is what I'm talking about? Like they Frankenstein was written by a feminist woman, Mary Shelley, the daughter of Mary Wollstonecraft, who was considered the first feminist. And this was some, I don't think there was a book, but like Hollywood was like, let's make a sequel.
With a woman.
Yeah, with a woman. Like that again, this is like how far back, by the way, the pandering goes, at least, right? Where they're like, we'll make another one with a female Frankenstein. Like the male Frankenstein was something we were supposed to look up to. I mean, yeah, the monster. It's not even Frankenstein. Bride of Frankenstein, does that mean that Dr. Frankenstein's, this is his bride? Not the monster's bride? I'm confused.
Okay.
But anyway.
What is this supposed to prove? First of all, why are you using evidence from fiction? This is what's really annoying about this. You're using a story as evidence of what men want as a whole. Well, you're using a story to demonize what men want as a whole. Right? And this is despicable. It's like, it's just freaking despicable. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, let's keep going. Let's go back. All right, here we go.
The dark side of male desire and the backlash against
Do you
feminism,
acknowledge anything else?
All right, here's another one. All right, I gotta switch back the cameras. So they're putting up Ex Machina. Have you seen this movie? Like, I don't know what is this supposed to prove? Like, have you seen this movie? In Ex Machina, the robot woman like kills the men and then enters society as some like crazy dangerous weapon, that has like, that's deciding that she wants to be free. It's literally like a feminist fever dream of escaping the patriarchy, as it were. Yeah, it is. And then entering the world, and they're showing this. I don't know if they're just, it just seems to me like it's like you said, they're using fiction to try to make they're using fiction made up by people who believe as they do, because the guy who created this movie, his name is Alex Garland, who made Ex Machina. I'm pretty sure he's the same guy that did that movie Men that we watched and talked about, as well as this more, well, you didn't watch it, but as well as this recent movie that just came out called Civil War. I mean, the guy, and Midsummer, which is, I think it's the same guy. Midsummer's actual nightmare fuel. If you want to see a movie that hates men, holy crap. Like, it's terrifying. Like, and this is a dude, right? So, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is a feminist appraisal of what men want based on what feminists have written in popular culture.
Yeah.
About what men want.
Yeah, it's lies around lies.
At no point was a man asked, aside from a feminist man, who will no doubt spout off the worst interpretation of what other men want.
So he can get approval.
Well, because his identity is wrapped up around being the one good man. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why my mic is screwing up like this. Do you see the sound changes? Here.
Yeah, your sound is changing a little bit, but yeah.
Hopefully that'll keep that at that particular level, because it's just, it drives me nuts. Anyway, the point is, if you did not hear it because my sound was going nuts, this is solipsistic. This is a feminist video referencing the creative works, creative in quotes, of other feminists to determine what men want. So it's a feminist saying what men want based on what other feminists have written about what men want in fiction. Right off the bat, sorry, now I'm blowing the mic out. Right off the bat, this is ridiculous and absurd. And yet people believe it.
On its face.
On its face.
Right. I mean,
ridiculous, and people
I mean, the reality is that basically, like, most of our media, if not almost all of our media, is feminist media. Mm-hmm. So and this is the thing about feminist academics and commentators, is that they know this. They have to know this. I'm going to be really complimentary and say they're not stupid. They're just evil. And they know that they're doing this. So what they do is they take media, and they can take it from anywhere because it's all feminist just about, and then just point to it and say, this is society. And then they use it because it's all straw manning men. It doesn't even want to understand the male perspective at all. And then they just put it out there like it's real, and then they critique it. So it's exactly like feminist academia, where they have these academic papers and studies. They only look at one side of the equation. They have all of their friends and peers in the same schools and the same circles. They all look at it. They all stamp the approval. They're all like, yep, this is true. Nobody challenges it. There is no such thing. It's the same thing. It's just cultural. There's
just feeding on itself.
Yeah, there's almost nothing that counters this, and it gives them a bottomless hole of resources to draw from to essentially plaster on men without actually trying to understand their view.
Yep.
So.
Yep, and then this becomes apparently the general attitude of women, that they think they know what men want based on what feminists say men want, based on what feminist writers have created in terms of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you are a woman who's afraid of AI, stop listening to this. Stop listening to this. You don't know what a man wants, because all men are individuals who want different things, even regardless of what. I appreciate Ho math, but he sometimes, I think, simplifies things while making them a little too complex, strangely. And one of the things he simplifies is that men are different. They don't all want the same thing. They don't all put emphasis on the same thing. They're individuals. So right off the bat, anybody who says they know what men want doesn't. Because you can't. They're individuals. And then also she talks about in this video the dark desires of men. Do they acknowledge any other desires? Because we all have dark desires. We all have weird things in our subconscious. We all got tentacle monsters lurking somewhere in our amygdala, right? All of us. But that doesn't mean that those are the things that drive us. So where are the light desires of men? Like, she's alluding to them. She's saying, well, we're going to explore the dark desires in order to inculcate a sense of fear in women. But what about the other desires? Let's assume that all of this just refers to the so-called dark desires of men. Are you saying that there are no other desires except dark desires? Because that's not true. Like, even people who have dark fantasies don't bring that necessarily into their relationships. It's just a dark fantasy. I would hope so, since I've seen a lot of the dark fantasies of women, and, you know, I'm not going to get into it, but I would prefer that those women don't bring those fantasies into their love life. Let's just say.
I think there is one thing that men do want from women that you can mostly generalize, and that's peace. I am serious. I think we underestimate the degree to which men just want peace with a woman. Like, they want, because they got a lot on their plate as it is, right?
Yeah.
And not to feel like you're in a relationship and there's just like this antagonism under the surface that's created by all of this noise in our culture. I think it's one of the main reasons why men are just like, it's not worth it, man. You know, I'm just gonna smoke a blunt and sit over here with some mac and cheese or something, because and watch The Sopranos, because it gives me peace. So anyway, let's watch some more. All right.
So, as a cautionary tale about the implications of an increasingly technological existence.
Proving an AI is exactly as problematic as you said it would be. To escape, she'd have to use self-awareness, imagination, manipulation, sexuality, empathy, and she did.
So why is the fembot such a...
So again, feminist content, writing men, and then feminists watch it and say, oh, this must be men. Like, do you guys know what acting is? Do you know what fiction is? Can women tell the difference? Sometimes I wonder. All right. This is Westworld. I didn't watch that. I think I watched a little bit of the beginning, the new West, the more recent one, not the OG one from back in the day, right? Because there was one from like the 60s or 70s with Yul Brynner. That was the original Westworld. I never saw that either, but that was, from what I remember, it was pretty good. So
mainstay in film and TV. And what does the future hold for her? Let's take a deeper look.
Oh my God! You're a fembot!
No shit, Sherlock.
Surprisingly,
I'll just play the next part.
actually, maybe not that surprisingly, the basic concept of what we know as fembots actually seems to be way older than we might imagine.
You'd do something for me if I asked you, wouldn't you?
I'll do anything you ask.
Academics Kate Delvin and Olivia Belton claim that the concept of fembots, or artificial women created for male gratification, dates back as far as Greek mythology, and the story of Pygmalion, who carved a woman out of ivory and fell in love with her.
Okay.
Do you want to say anything about that, or should we just keep going? Says this section is called "Fembots are a surprisingly old concept." Who cares? I mean, are there not also stories of artificial like men created for a certain purpose, like the Golem or Frankenstein, or the Colossus of Rhodes? Like, I don't see what the point of this is, because again, they're only looking at half of the equation. They're just like, oh, there have been stories of artificial women. Yeah, and right.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Okay, that's
All right.
nice. Yes, and they explored various themes, from artificial companionship to perfect soldiering to like an assassin to consciousness and the development of awareness to like what. Yes, there have been. Yes, indeed, feminist video. There have been stories about artificial women.
And if they're robots, are they even women?
Apparently, if they're shaped by women, they're women. I don't know.
I don't know about that. Like
women, they're women.
Is the robot from Lost in Space that says "Danger, Danger, Will Robinson" male or female? The voice sounds male, but that doesn't mean it's a male. Like,
I guess if it's
I don't know. I feel like if it's desired by a man, then it's a female.
It's a female robot because women exist because men desire them.
That must be it. I stand corrected. NovaFan21 gave us $2 and said, "Feminists, men have porn on the brain and have developed unrealistic standards. Fembot, I do not hate men." Yeah, thank you.
That's it. Yeah. Oh man. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, let's keep going. Switch back to the sources here. Okay.
Robotic women feature in several novels and short stories from the 19th and early 20th century, such as science fiction writer Lester Del Rey's short Helen O'Loy, Auguste Villier's Future Eve, and E.T.A. Hoffman's Der Sandman. All three of these are love stories, where the men at the center fall in love with the fembot, some with sinister outcomes. But in the 1927 German film Metropolis, the fembot takes on a more political slant. Here, she shows the dangerous implications of industrialization for the common German worker. And her politicization didn't end there.
I'm pausing there for the banana.
Okay, I'm just thinking about, you remember that classic episode where Tasha Yar in Star Trek seduces Data?
No, I didn't watch a lot of Star Trek. Sorry.
Star Trek: The Next Generation. So
No.
I am fully functional. Like, how come that's not included in here? Believe me, the distaff counterpart to sex bots has been included in fiction and been considered. Actually, you know what? Also, in that latest, I don't want to say aliens because it wasn't really. It was a progenitor race. Remember that they had a male robot that was in the woman I think fell in love with, or there was some kind of suggestion of a
Are you talking about the Prometheus?
Prometheus, yeah. Prometheus. So I mean, this theme is explored in the reverse in fiction for women, and yet, like you said, there are fictional stories that have female robots. Something sex slavery.
You know what? I think we should just take this to its logical conclusion. We don't want to make the women feel uncomfortable, so why don't we just never ever tell a story with a female shaped robot in it ever again, and have all the robots be played by men and all of the robots look masculine? I'm sure that feminists will not get upset about that.
But what if you had a trans woman robot?
Oh, it wouldn't be a woman anyway because it's a robot. Like, they're not male or female, they're machines. Like, they can look a certain way, but it's like, I think this is just incredibly stupid discussion, because you're taking something that's genderless and then you're gendering it only for the purposes of shaming men. And then you expect me to take it seriously. And then when I say, well, because this is what they did with the Transformers, for example. You know, in the Transformers, I guess there was like a show or something recently where they added like a new Transformer, and they were like, it's a non-binary Transformer. And I was like, they're robots. They're all non-binary. They're robots. They have male voices. Sometimes they have female voices, but they're fucking robots. Why are we talking about this? Because you're narcissists. You're narcissists. You can't help it. You have to see yourself in everything. Look, here's a thumb drive. What gender is this? Do you want to see yourself as this? Like, it's so pathetic, guys.
Obviously,
it's so pathetic. Yeah, obviously, because you put it inside your computer. It's just,
it's a metaphor for the rape and exploitation of women.
I feel like this is so dumb, and these are the people that I have to argue with to like get men to be treated decently. Like, this is the level of discourse that we're operating at, where I have to explain to them that a non-binary transformer is redundant and stupid. Like, or this, or like, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, there was this whole thing going on in gaming where there's this game that came out called Stellar Blade, and there's the main character is named Eve, and I think just like 2B from that other game that I can't, Nier Automata, they're machines, but they look like sexy women, but they're machines, right? And it was this whole fucking thing where they were like they're sexualizing artificial objects that are you know, it was like a problem because men liked it, and they tried to get it, they tried to shame people for buying it, they tried to censor the game. Finally, actually very recently, there was some covering up of the character with some skins, and there was enough pushback that the developers reversed those changes. So good on you guys for that. But it's so dumb that we're even having this conversation. Like, is this how good you have it? Do you have it so good in your life where there's no war on your doorstep, where your people are not being genocided or blown up in the streets by some, you know, invading force, where you have
sign up for selective service?
Yeah, you don't have the selective service. You have food on your table, you have running water, you have electricity, you have internet so that you can shoot this on HD cameras and your new iPhones, and you're talking about artificial characters in fictions that were made by people who agree with you politically for the purpose of shaming men. This is where we are. Like,
it is pretty funny. It's like
it's so. It's like I don't know if dumb is like a good enough word for this. It is.
It is the human Ouroboros, lips to ass all the way down and all the way back. But seriously, it's like they're basically, again, they're saying this is what men want based on what feminists assume men want, which itself is a politically charged lie about men in order to gain political power. Mm-hmm. This is not proven. None of this stuff is proven. This is why she's not basing it on studies. She's basing it on other people's writing. And you notice how all of the fembots that she's brought up have actually explored very different themes, like consciousness, assassination, termination, political themes in terms of liberation of the workers, some sexual themes. Like, they cross the entire landscape. And she's taking the very existence of artificial women in fiction, and she's using that to paint what men want, and then to inculcate fear in women over that. And what men want is based on, again, feminist appraisal of what men want.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
On top of that, too.
Apparently women eat this up. They
do. Absolutely, they do. And on top of that, like, the science fiction community itself is heavily gatekept by people who are feminist sympathetic anyway. Like, guys like Isaac Asimov and shit, like, back in the 60s, like, they were gatekeeping people who didn't share their same ideology as hard as they could. It didn't always work, but like, they were trying. Like, there's certainly a filter. If you want to learn more about that, there's a book called Boobs of Steel. I think it's called Boobs of Steel. That was written by Jay Ishiro and Kat Rocha. I had them on the show, and they talked about how essentially our creative culture has been heavily policed by people with feminist leanings for a long time. So like, what we're getting most likely is feminist. It's just that because these things move so fast, they can look at some feminist work from the 60s and think it's straight up conservative, you know? And that's why, like, their whole view on what conservatism even is so extremely distorted, because it's like straw men on top of straw men across like 3 generations, and they're like referring to shit that their own people did, and they're like, this is conservative now. And it's like, no, you're ridiculous. Like, this is no one. Like, you're referencing made up people that were made up by people, like, that were downstream of other made up people, that goes back, like, it's a what is it, you know the story of the simulacrum? Where, you know, if you or what is it, the ship of Theseus, like, where if you like take things apart enough, like, how much of the original of the original idea is still there. You know, it's almost like that in our culture, in our writing. That's why everything's so garbage right now, because it's so like it's worse than AI. It's so self-referential.
Yes, that's why
they
AI is inspiring and creative.
Yeah,
because we've become so uninspired and non-creative. But yeah, this is like you said, that what this comes down to is that this is generations removed from actually asking a man. In fact, I've probably never asked a man. We are looking at fiction from male feminists in like the 20s. and it's just sort of like you said, it's just continued down. It's just become just referenced itself and referenced itself and referenced itself. Like no men were actually asked in the making of this video. Like what men want. Like men can't even talk about what they want. They can't even be honest about it. And well, I mean, I guess we could. I suppose Andrew Tate represents what men want.
He's like the last bastion of the straw man of what men want. Like I think, honest to God, I think that he's artificially propped up because he plays a cartoon version of a man, and they love that because he is the ultimate feminist version. He's what's left. He's what's left of what feminists think men are after everything else has been filtered out.
Well, he's the only way that men can differentiate yourself from women. You look at feminist literature, they left only that. Only Andrew Tate. They basically, we could replace feminist literature, the word man, in feminist literature with Andrew Tate's face. Man, Andrew Tate, feminist literature, in feminist literature. This is a man. And that's it. And then that's what they show young men. That's what they've been showing young men for generations. And suddenly this guy pops up saying, this is how you be a man. Well, yeah, that's the feminist definition of men.
Yep.
And then us, who have been fighting against defining men in such a narrow and limited way and making young men think that this is how you differentiate yourself from women, and actually recognizing all of the positive attributes of masculinity and all of that. We have to answer to the creation of this kind of caricaturized masculinity and feminist theory or feminist conjecture. You know? Yep. We have to answer to their creation. No, we don't. Let's move on.
All right. Let's go to the next, more of the video, I guess. So, just playing it. Okay.
The 1970s, when Ira Levin wrote his iconic novel, The Stepford Wives, fembots had begun to represent something more sinister about women, and specifically men's attitudes towards them.
Yes, because that was a feminist work.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying.
So fembots represent a sinister attitude. Like, so what you're saying is that this is what feminists thought men want, and we're presenting it as a cautionary tale. This is bad. And then you're referencing that to say, well, this is obviously what men... Stop it.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. They're using feminist work as their evidence of what men are, and it's ridiculous. It's like and I mean, I hate to do it this way, but it's literally like asking the Klan to tell us about black people.
And what black people
you know,
want.
yeah, and what they want, right? Like but the thing is, we would find that absurd, but we don't find this absurd at all. Like people are just like, yep, that's right. Yep. All right, let's go. Let's get some Christopher Walken on. This will give me a break.
A gloomy, dissatisfied woman. Then, in a very private experience between husband and wife, he gently places her in our female improvement system.
At that time, women were
Can we have one of those, please? All right, anyway.
increasingly seeking more power, both in individual relationships and in society at large. So, in The Stepford Wives, Levin explored the burgeoning backlash towards the feminist movement.
I told you I messed a little bit with women's lib in New York.
Didn't we all?
As historian Michelle Era.
What feminists? What backlash?
The backlash. Yeah.
Yeah, they. Well, I'm sure that the Stepford Wives is feminist propaganda of the time. I'm sure it is. Yeah, and they were they were constructing like straw men of what men were like even then. This is why the idea of patriarchy of yesterday has to die, because it's built on this. It's the foundation for this crap.
Yeah, actually watch some 50s movies. This is not what is portrayed. Watch 40s movies, 30s movies.
It doesn't matter.
The women in them are not like this at all. At all.
I mean, Hollywood was probably always a bit like feminist friendly, you know?
Yeah, but
like always.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like, how are you looking back at the 50s and saying this is what they are when you'd have no clue? We're not actually using something from the 50s. You're using something recent that is a caricature of the 50s. You know, and honestly, actually, women were oppressed by having a part-time job that they controlled completely. Like they decided when they did the work. Like the guy is here going to work, paying for all of the things that turn her job, her home job, into a part-time existence. And that's oppression. Because, you know, ladies, working 40 hours a week with a 2-hour commute every day, and saying, I'll have those reports, you know, made up by 2 p.m., sir. That is not oppression. But this is oppression. And the only thing the guy apparently wants is gratitude and to be
peace.
And acts of service.
Support. Right.
Acts of service. Which, incidentally, what I've noticed is that men tend to interpret love in terms of acts of service. So they will do acts of service, often acts that the woman doesn't even notice. And maybe they want this because this is an act of service. I mean, how about this? Go out and mow the lawn. Go out and fix the shingles on the roof. Go out and fill in the potholes with asphalt. Go out and fix the sewers. You know, go out and put up the aerial antenna. You could do that too. But just acts of service for the benefit of the house, the person who is the primary provider of the house. Like, why is this so bad? Like, all this is a particular act of service. Of course, it's sexualized, but it's just an act of service. It's just love through an act of service. That's it. So, horror of horrors, men are willing to go out, earn a wage to support you in what is essentially a leisure lifestyle, especially when the kids are in school. And what he wants back is maybe the occasional recognition that you love him through an act of service. That's what this is. It's caricaturized, it's stereotyped, but that's what this represents. And this is women's horror, that they live in a relationship with a man. He gives them a lifestyle where they essentially they are doing a part-time job, have free time to do whatever they want, which was why we have the rise of feminism and soap operas. And in return, he asks for expressions of love in the usual way that men express their love, which is acts of service. This is what's condemned, is it? Yeah, this actually says more about the feminists who are presenting it as evil than it does men.
Yep. All right.
I guarantee that guy is going out, and he is doing the yes, sir, I'll have that report done by 2 p.m. Yes, sir. How do you like your... Yes, sir, I'll get that. He's doing that. He is taking the direct orders. He is experiencing the dehumanization of the modern workplace, where a person only gets control over part of a product, if that, right? He's experiencing that, so she doesn't have to. And in the 50s, in the 40s, most likely he lived through experiencing war, so she doesn't have to. That's not even considered in this equation. Not at all.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So I got some super chats. Xerax gives us $5 and says Wonder Woman is the sophisticated man's fembot. And then Albert Data Retro gives us $5 Canadian and says the Klan did tell us about blacks. It's in the documentary Birth of a Nation, right? That was a true story, right? Where is Stepford asking for a friend? All right, so let us continue.
If the modern white nationalists referenced Birth of a Nation to explain to us what black people want.
Yeah, exactly.
This is, but the other thing is that It would also be like if Birth of the Nation was just like black people doing their thing and saying, hey, can we have a living wage instead of like, the rape that it actually was? So like legitimate things that black people at the time wanted, you know? Education, living wage, you know, that kind of thing. Although, yes, there was a lot of race baiting even back then. I mean, it would be as if Birth of a Nation actually presented legitimate grievances by black communities, and then the modern white nationalists or Ku Klux Klan looked at that and said, hey, look at how horrible that is. My God, you know, this man wants some consideration from the person that he sacrifices for so she can have a part-time job. Right? He wants some acts of service from the person who he's taking care of. Some demonstration of love. I mean, that, like I said, this is sexualized, but it's still not really that offensive. It isn't. And the problem is that there are women who look at this and say, oh my God, that's so offensive. It isn't. It isn't that offensive. Giving your man a foot rub after he's had 12 hours in the fucking mines to make sure that you don't have to go down and do it, that's not offensive.
Yeah.
It's not offensive.
Well, and once again, they're being really selective about like the men as they are represented, because this looks like he's like a high status man, but like most men are not this guy.
Yeah.
So again, this is like, you know, going back to the home math thing, you know, not people. The men who are not people are not the men these women are complaining about. So, all right, let's.
Here's the other thing: like they're already in this position now because they are all going after the high status men.
Yes.
There's like a couple dozen women per man, high status man on these dating apps. Like, and you're gonna have to behave like this in order to keep his interest.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep going.
Bro writes, Levin dramatized women's suburban alienation and men's resistance to feminist change, writing a world where a man would rather kill his wife and replace her with a robot than commit to equality and recognize her as a whole person.
No idea.
Okay, recognize her as a whole person. Then she does, like, here's the issue. These robots, why are they giving them money to go shopping? Like, I mean, if I had a robot, right, I wouldn't give it money to go shopping or sit at home. I get it to be doing all the shit that I don't want to do. Like, fixing the plumbing.
You mean like having a nanny or a maid?
No, not even. Like, why would you even do that? Like,
oh, yeah, sure.
This woman, okay, how proficient is she? We need our roof shingled. Could she do that? Because that would be something that we, like, Jonathan doesn't want to go up. He's, like, Jonathan's my husband. He's a little afraid of heights. I don't want to go up because I'm also afraid of heights, you know? Would she do it? Like, could we get the fembot? Like, strip all this crap off because I don't give a fuck of what she looks like. But just put her in some overalls and get her up on the roof fixing my roof. You know, get her up, go out and fix the, do some gardening, right? Like, do actual work. Why is it that these fembots are doing leisure activities? Like, the men are buying these things to allow them to shop and hang around at home doing what? Not labor?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you do that? Do you get what I'm saying, Brian? Like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I understand. But again, you can't make the political feminist point you want to make if you actually apply like the logic of having a humanoid robot, you know, like, and actually wanting to like make a good use of it. So instead, because you can't make commentary if you do that, then it's just like tuck pointing, you know, or building you a new deck, and it's not like doing like the things that feminists think women should absolutely dread, like shopping and cooking.
and doing makeup and hair. But
and doing hair and makeup.
Spa days, you know, like, what is the premise here? That these guys exchange their wives for presumably robots that don't work, because I think their wives worked and these robots don't work or something? Like, they don't make money? Which seems like a real net loss to the household there.
Yeah,
Why
right.
wouldn't you exchange it for a robot that can work 24 hours a day? You know, like, and make more money. Like, just be like, yeah, I'm going to replace my architect wife with an architect architect bot who can work 24 hours a day, right? But here's the thing. What they're saying is these men are exchanging these bots, or their wives, for bots who they are basically allowing to have significant leisure time, go to spa days, and shop. You don't do that. Why the hell would you give an autonomous creature why would you give a non-sentient robot like a foot massage or like a treat? Like, why would you treat it to a spa day? 'Cause she's obviously very well made up. She does her, everything. She looks beautiful, clothing. So her husband is treating her to all of this, and she's a robot who can't experience anything. The reason why men wanted to do this for women is because they thought that women appreciated the leisure, the opportunity to look good, have haute couture, shop, and all of this other stuff. That's why men do this, because they want to make women happy. And from what I can tell from TikTok, these are activities that make a lot of women happy. And yet now they have to pay for them themselves instead of having a man pay for them. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, back to the video.
There'll be somebody with my name, and she'll cook and clean like crazy, but she won't take pictures, and she won't be me. She'll be like one of those robots in Disneyland.
In Her, main character Theodore is going through a divorce and experiencing extreme loneliness and disassociation from other people. He falls in love with an AI assistant,
wait.
Samantha.
Yeah, but the only thing that men really want from women, from what I can tell you, like from having actually talked to men, because of all of the people in this, of course you could ask Brian, but we don't ask men what they want. Right? But like the individual who wrote this script has not asked men what they want.
For Her?
Yeah, and they are citing feminist literature on what they think men want.
Yes.
Right? Men did this. They allowed women to have the homemaker role because they thought it would make women happy. Okay? Right? That's why they did it. And in fact, if you actually listen to men of the time period, they know that they have the shit role. They know it. But they want women to be happy. They want women to have the leisure. They want women to have the material goods. They want women to have the spa days. They want women to be able to pursue whatever creative or inspirational interests that they have. They wanted women to be happy. That's why they allowed for that role, or that they sacrificed for that role. That's what these guys wanted. And they, on some level, must have known that getting up at 6 a.m. to do a 2-hour commute to subjugate or to be submissive to another man for a paycheck is not fun. It's actually a sacrifice, or even worse, going and doing labor, dangerous labor for a paycheck is a sacrifice. But they did it because they wanted their women to be happy.
Yep.
That's it. And this is presenting this idea that men want something. Well, what the hell? Like, what is it that men would want from these bots? Like, what I'm getting at is, when you look at that, they're giving these bots all of this wonderful experience and being able to shop and have leisure time and be pampered and take care of themselves. But for what? When a bot doesn't experience things. The reason why they did this was so that they could make their woman happy. And, maybe that didn't make women happy. It obviously didn't, because they seem to not want that. Or they do now because of the soft girl era, I guess. But it's like, there's something missing in all of this and all of this analysis. Let's keep going.
All right.
I apologize. I feel like I'm losing you because I'm getting bored.
No, I'm kind of like, I think we're on another thing now. So now we're talking about Her. Have you ever seen Her?
No, I don't watch these movies.
Yeah, so I saw it. It's about this guy who's in the middle of a divorce.
Wait.
And he starts a relationship with an artificial intelligence on his phone. And it's not like, I don't know how they're gonna do this, but he's the character that's really sad. Like, he's pathetic in this movie. It's actually frustrating because he falls head over heels for this thing that's just a voice that talks to him, and all it says is that, okay, so what you're saying is if there was a woman who would just listen and be compassionate, he would be thrilled. But those women don't exist, and no man deserves that. That's kind of what the message of the movie is. But let's hear what this person has to say. I want to see how the machine is oppressed by this lonely dude.
Actually, the woman that I've been seeing, Samantha, I didn't tell you, but she's an OS.
Really?
I feel really close to her. Like, when I talk to her, I feel like she's with me, you know?
The film explores the problems of using AI as a stand-in for human partners. Samantha doesn't understand Theodore's need for a monogamous relationship, while Theodore's ex-wife sees his developing relationship with an operating system as symptomatic of his inability to engage with the messiness of human relationships.
What?
Let's just get through this section because I have to switch scenes so that you can talk and we get the vertical set up. Let's see. So,
although Theodore is seemingly a gentle, harmless man, her highlights the genuine misogynistic reasons behind fembots. The idea that women's independence and complexity makes them less appealing or more difficult to love. If you want more of our analysis of her...
All right, now I think we can probably talk about that. So, men wanting peace, which is what I said before, is a problem. Because women should be allowed to just bring chaos into men's lives, and men can't have an opinion on that. So, because if you do, if you're like, could you please just chill the fuck out? Like, that's misogynistic. Like, standards for men, standards is misogynistic. That's what I think it's getting at the end of the day.
What does this messy mean?
That, I don't know, like they're moody and angry and combative and they're...
That's what it means. It means what this individual is saying is it's misogynist to expect a woman who isn't abusive. And it's misogynist to expect a woman who genuinely takes an interest in you. It's misogynist to expect a woman who treats you with consideration. Right?
Yeah.
It's misogynist to expect even a crumb of what women should expect from their relationships because of all that. Oh, if he doesn't respect you. Not even if he doesn't love you, if he doesn't appreciate you. If he doesn't respect you according to the latest TikTok challenge, get rid of him. But men are supposed to tolerate what she terms as messy, which means what?
What is the saying? Like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. It's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, we're a mess, but you have to deal with it. Right.
You don't deserve my love bombing, essentially.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's go back to this.
Make sure to check out our Patreon exclusive Total Take video. Interestingly, in many ways, this man falling in love with his virtual assistant narrative is like an update of the 1950s and 60s trope of men falling for their secretaries.
And he's smiling like a fool, like he's the first man that ever married his secretary.
There, the men in question invariably lose interest when they realize the helpful, available woman they fell in love with at the office actually has opinions and takes up space once they bring her home.
Oh, God.
This is another feminist stereotype about what men do.
Yeah, it's Mad Men is literally that. Like, it's like the show is not... There's
Mad Men? Oh,
yeah, they're talking about Mad Men.
Let's talk about the history. The actual man that Don Draper was based on, or allegedly based on, he ended up marrying a fellow ad executive who he worked with as an equal. Or at least as a person with substantial skill set. And their courtship and marriage was actually quite egalitarian. So, in other words, we are looking at a feminist distortion of something that actually happened in history.
Yeah.
The guy Don Draper, I think they took his name. I don't remember his original name, but it's something similar to Draper. They took his name and they did not actually represent his relationship, the actual relationship he had. And they didn't recognize that he had a relationship with another ad executive. and they had a very egalitarian relationship. So this is once again, this is a feminist fiction that feminists are making men answer to.
Yeah.
This thing I made up.
They made it up, and then they say there's this trope. Like that means it's what? Based in history? No, it's literally a storytelling trope that you have used over and over until it became real in your head. And then you reference it like it's real, and you're like, look at how bad things were. No, that didn't happen. You know?
This is going to be a very short response. Okay, every time they bring something up that they just made up about men, let's point out that that's actually abusive towards men. Lying about them and demonizing them is abusive towards men. It is a lie about men that you made up.
Yeah.
And once again, if you make things up like, oh, this is how Don Draper really was, you are promoting a particular view of manhood, and you're telling young men, this is how men are. This is how you differentiate yourself from women. These are the qualities you can have to differentiate yourself from women. And people will choose a negative identity over no identity. And you are giving young men no identity except for this caricature you've made out of manhood, feminists. And what a surprise. You have constructed the very thing that you now point to as evidence of the very thing.
Yep.
Good Lord. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, let's keep going.
So on screen, the programmable fembot is the next logical step for men who want full control. But even within these narratives, where the fembot is essentially programmed just to be that ideal, perfect, doting, always available woman, things often don't work out like the men had hoped.
Like men constructed this situation where women have substantial leisure time. They're not taking the brunt of the actual providership of the home anymore. So they have leisure time. They can take care of themselves. They can pursue fashion. They can pursue whatever creative interest they want. And what men wanted in return was maybe some kindness, some acts of service related to love, that kind of thing. Oh my God. Let's just
Of your smile and your aftershave, and I realized I can do better.
Her explores what could happen if these machines develop agency, which for Theodore makes them just as problematic and scary as real women. Because if they have agency, they might leave. But in the grand scheme of fembot stories, her is nowhere near as terrifying as it could be.
Many great men and women have...
Mars Attacks?
He fell in love with Mars Attacks. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh God.
It's not a robot. It's literally a Martian in disguise. Again, using the Martians observed the humans, and they were like, oh, the human men, they're vulnerable to women's feminine wiles. Let's have one dress up like a woman and go to the White House and try to assassinate the president. And we'll use the super lecherous guy to get in there. What point are you trying to make? Do you watch these movies, or do you just look for the surface level shit and that should work? That'll push some buttons on a woman with a soft brain watching this shit? Sorry, it's just... it's so
woman with a soft brain. Yep, that's
right.
That is the market for this crap. I just wanted to say
you're just a woman with a small brain, with a brain a third the size of us. It's science.
I was watching because I watched her and I found out how it ended. She ended up having 900 relationships with other people.
And she was like an AI, so she was all over the place. Multitasking relationships.
Yeah, and he thought it was exclusive, but I don't think that men today are allowed to demand exclusivity from women. I think.
No, but that was the point of her though, is that men can't have expectations. So it's literally analogous to today, because a woman's body count is something you're not supposed to have a problem with, right? But the only reason is because feminists promote promiscuity in women to do whatever they want, and then they do, and then after that feminists also tell women, well, you shouldn't, you should be allowed to and tell men that they're not allowed to have an opinion on it, and that women can choose to settle down at 50 or 60 if they want to, and men can't deny them. So like they're creating this problem.
That it's inappropriate for, or it's actually illegitimate or immoral for men to deny women or have preference over who they want to date. Like,
yep.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right, just switch back to the sources.
Pass through here. Now we're passing through here. Feels good, don't it? You're very graceful. I like that.
In Fear Itself, Horror on Screen and in Reality During the Depression and World War II, Melvin E. Matthews writes about how contemporary societal fears...
Oh, sorry. For the record, Martians are sexless. Okay. They're sexless.
Why do they include, like, a Martian dressed up as a woman in fembots?
I don't know. But the Martians, from what I can tell, they're sexless. So, anyway.
Are often
they just
explored
love
through
murder.
horror films. So, for example, in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, when there was a fear of invasion in the United States, foreign vampiric women and inhuman female monsters emerged.
I don't think that those old movies were about invasion. I think that those movies, like, they were based on books, and the books were talking about other things. Like Dracula, from what I understand, was actually written by Bram Stoker, who was homosexual, and he was concerned about STDs, and so this was like his way of talking about that. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley was about something about playing God, maybe, and she was also like really like, you know, she went off to like do orgies with Lord Byron, and I don't know, there was something about that too, but it's not it. I think she's oversimplifying this stuff. So, and the Wolfman and it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like that's like, you know, like if you just give into the id and you just like live out your desires, that the Wolfman is about like predatory male sexuality ultimately. Not really a pro-male story. It is a horror story. It's a cautionary story. So, but anyway. All right.
She's alive. Alive!
Women in particular make an especially uneasy canvas on which to project fears. It's jarring to see the female form, something that society associates with pleasure or motherhood, become the site of danger. It makes sense that, as technology progresses and increasingly replaces people, the woman in question has become technological. So the fembot is often a disturbing creation. Though she looks like the perfect human, her lack of humanity is played upon to incite fear among viewers.
Do you want to
Oop, sorry.
Okay.
Did you want to say something about that?
All right, so what is the male body considered the site of?
Oh, we're not going to talk about that side of it.
We're going to talk about, okay, let's see.
Oh, remember the movie, speaking of which, there were a couple of movies. There was one called Making Mr. Right, came out in the 80s, and then wasn't there one called, I don't know if this was a man though, Mannequin? These are 80s movies. You know, Weird Science, like, I know that was a woman, but like, what was the plot of that? I thought it was about these guys learning how to like talk to women or whatever, build a relationship with a woman.
The woman that they created was actually smarter than them and more world-wise.
Yeah, right, yeah. But they're not going to talk about that. That's not convenient. We got to talk about Stepford Wives, and then we got to make Stepford Wives as a concept fit into everything else, and then make a global conversation about it from the Stepford Wives perspective, because Stepford Wives was made by feminists, and it referenced feminist work, and it's everything else is downstream from that, so that must be the truth, because enough people believe it. Anyway.
Okay, let's keep it.
destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
As we discussed in our video on Femme Fatales, in horror and sci-fi, fembots are often eerily beautiful, almost like caricatures of women, designed to elicit a sexual response from men.
Those are actual
and trick
actresses,
them
idiot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, oh, what's her name from Blade Runner? I forget her name, but she's gorgeous. That's why they chose her. Like, but you know, these people don't like attractive women.
Apparently not.
Especially if men also find them attractive. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah, I know.
into giving something up or getting into a dangerous situation.
Did you design Ava's face based on my pornography profile?
In Mars Attacks, the aliens observed that human men are sexually motivated enough to put the entire country at risk. So they create a lethal fembot and prove it.
Could we get that gum out of your mouth?
Interestingly,
interesting how the level of violence inflicted on men for their sexual desires is never commented upon by this. Like, does that say anything about our society? About how it condemns men's sexual desires? Like, he just got his finger bitten off. Of course, he was.
Well, he gets killed too.
Yeah,
after
and
that,
gets killed, and this is something that seems to happen a lot. Like, men get punished for having sexual desires. So this man in Her got punished for having an AI girlfriend. The men in Stepford Wives, I believe, end up getting punished for that. So that, does this not go into your analysis of what our social attitude is? Like, if we were perfectly happy with men having their fantasy woman, which, I don't know, just seems to be happy and grateful, which, like an AI and a sex bot can't experience the feelings of happiness or gratitude. So, there's no real point, but ultimately they don't talk about what that says, that we seem to be very satisfied with punishing men for their sexuality and their sexual desires.
Yep.
We're not going to comment on that. All right, but let's keep going.
All right.
In her horror and sci-fi incarnation, the fembot often has superhuman strength and is able to hurt men physically in a way that human women might not be able to. Fembots bring with them the underlying threat of physical violence that, in reality, women often experience around men. Honing in on this type.
What? So, again, feminist content is created as a power fantasy when they do these like artificial women. And I would say that it's, even though like they reference Blade Runner and Terminator 3, I would argue that Ridley Scott and whoever directed Terminator 2, obviously they're feminists too. Like, they were just indulging in the power fantasy, but when the power fantasy happens, you still have to somehow make this about men victimizing women, even when you're showing us women victimizing men. Like, even when you're showing it to us, you're like, yeah, but actually in real life it's just like this but reverse. Yeah, because in real life there are like male replicants with superhuman strength fucking Hurricane Rana-ing their partners, right? That's totally happening. Oh my god.
Well,
all right,
that they're not admitting to the obvious, which is that these fembots function as female power fantasies. They have sexual power and they have physical power. They have all of it. And that's a female power fantasy. These are not men fantasizing about women. These are women fantasizing about men and the kind of power apparently they want to have over men, which is complete sexual power and physical power.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And then this entire video has nothing to do with what men want, as far as I can tell, or what men want from women, and everything to do with what feminists think men want from women, and feminist power fantasies that involve having power over men, raping them, harming them, and killing them as revenge for what they allege happens so much in reality, which it doesn't. Like, it doesn't.
Yep.
Okay.
And they still, essentially what they do with these like these fembots, this is how the essay addresses them, even though it's not as simple as that. But they're still the victims of men, even though they're technically not even women. They're just like, they're an avatar. They're a symbol of womanhood in their eyes. All right, anyway, back to the video.
Rope walk. Journalist Annalie Newitz writes that perhaps the fembot's allure resides in her ability to walk the line between total obedience and unfathomable power. In other words, she titillates men by finally showing them what it's like to be physically vulnerable, which, while scary, adds to her eroticism. But it all
That sounds like a fetish thing. I don't think that's most men. But of course, you guys don't talk to actual men, so you don't know. You're just making shit up. So
this is just more. There's no point answering to it because they're just making shit up. Like this entire video is men. I made shit up about them.
Yeah, this is like serious midwit content. Okay.
Also allows the fembot to avenge the human women she was created to replace. In modern day media, while the fembot often represents
men have a fantasy about being avenged, like or having women avenge themselves on them.
I wonder if they're going to show the robot chick from Jason X.
List everything that men apparently want. They want a woman who rubs their feet. Like, who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
They want a woman who they can send out to do shopping and all that kind of stuff, so that they can give leisure. They've created a robot, in order to give it leisure time, the ability to spend their money and spa days. Which, okay, they want a AI that makes them feel like they're listened to, but they don't want it to have relationships with like 900 other people, because that sort of, it breaks the fiction. It breaks the illusion, shall we say. All right. And now they want fembots who are super powerful because that's titillating, but they also want those fembots to avenge themselves, all women, on them. So it's a lot of like really bizarre things that they're alleging men want. Except for the rubbing your feet. I think everybody likes that.
Well, it depends on, if it's not violent, yeah. All right, back to the...
Yeah, exactly. That's the presumption. You're just having a foot rub.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't like that?
Wild. In other narratives, she's reincarnated again. The Other Black Girl, for example, is a comment on race in publishing, drawn from author Zakiya Dahlia Harris's own experiences in the industry. Main character Nella isn't the only black woman working at a literary agency, and when another black woman, Hazel, starts, all is not as it seems. Hazel is a fembot, and the message is that in order to function...
Oh, so yeah, that's totally her lived experience. There was another woman, looks like me, at the workplace, but she was hostile. This isn't saying anything about my ego. This is clearly just me making an observation, and she was artificial too. Probably a product of the white man. This is so retarded. You are retarded. You are obviously engaging in, like you said, you're engaging in female competition, and then you're blaming it on the men that built the fucking company that you have the privilege of working at.
All right.
And progress in a majority white industry, black people, and more specifically black women, have to immerse themselves in
Are you
white
sure
culture.
these people are white culture? Seriously?
This is ridiculous. I think this is like just dumb. Go ahead.
Okay, so...
Yeah, I guess so. I've never heard of this, but...
Neither have I. Let's keep... You know what? Let's skip this part. Who cares?
All right, let's skip to the next bit. That's fine, yeah. I'm not really feeling that one anyways.
AI horror Megan sees an AI doll created to befriend children and help their parents develop a mind of its own.
What did you think was going to happen? I was gonna let you decommission me without even talking about it?
Much of the film's terror comes from the fact that, while we might not be commissioning robots to look after our kids just yet, there is an increasing use of tech in the parent-child relationship, from the ever-present screen time to GPS tracking. And while all of these technologies on their face sound like the answer to so many problems, they actually create a lot of issues of their own.
Yeah, it sounds like there should probably be like, I don't know, a parent around.
Could that be?
Yeah.
So, from what I'm getting from Megan is that the mother uses this child to occupy her child, and that creature ends up becoming violent.
I've never seen the movie, but...
I'm not exactly sure what that message that's supposed to be. I think this is just like general women who are synthetic in film. Maybe we're going to get to a conclusion here. Let's get to the end. Oh, actually, you know what? The previous one I think had Westworld. I've actually watched that, so maybe we should go back, but not the part with the territorial competition between two black women. Let's do Westworld.
All right, I got a super chat from Zaranx. He says, maybe the reason why it's scary is having that kind of strength without the concept of how much is too much, as most men figure out. I mean, maybe for men, yes, but okay. So we're gonna go back to, I don't know.
Just do the Westworld. I'll tell you when it's. Yeah, there you go. Go a little
Right
bit
here?
further.
A little further back, or
No, just start playing.
And in the arms of a sister, Alice Walker.
And what was that? Alice Walker.
Okay, she wrote The Color Purple.
Bitch! I know who Alice Walker is. Trust. Something's up.
Okay, where's the Westworld part?
Another fembot narrative that explores race is
right here.
Maeve from Westworld, who experiences mindless violence at the hands of wealthy white game players. Her story analyzes the one step forward, two steps back march of progress, as she continually evolves her consciousness or escapes, only to be captured and reset, and thus having to begin her journey to agency anew. Meanwhile,
all right. Well, that was cringe. Thank you.
I actually
Like, I mean,
Westworld.
in but the idea of killing the robots in Westworld, it wasn't just that one. It was like you could do it wherever. You always won. It was like living out a fantasy. They were robots. Like that was the point. It's like interactive fucking Chuck E. Cheese or or Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like you're taking fiction where people are at least attempting to explore something, and you're basically saying, well, here's why that's problematic. Oh, I wonder why all of our media is shit right now. I wonder why.
Well, okay, so they didn't go into Westworld much, but you're actually exactly right. You could kill anybody, including the men, which they did a lot of. And in fact, when they actually started killing people that couldn't be revived, it was men just doing their job. But we weren't supposed to remark on that because, it's men when we don't care about it.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, that's really funny because ultimately this entire video demonstrates an unexpressed bias, which is that men are expendable. And it justifies it by saying, well, men are demons. But the other thing is that, and then it has a pathological inability to recognize what men actually want. But let's get into the final commentary. Let's see what her.
Should I go back to Megan or just go to the last bit?
Just go to the last bit because I don't care.
All right, so let me just switch to the source again.
not all current representations of the fembot have a negative spin, though. Some are interested in looking at how humans and bots could work together in a positive way when both the bots and the humans are allowed their own agency. In The Good Place,
what does
Janet is a
agency
funny-
mean? Just stop for a second. All right. What does she mean by agency here? Okay? Because the way I've realized that I think I have a fundamental disconnect between how I understand agency and how perhaps the average woman, as represented by the audience of stuff like this, understands agency. Because for me, agency means my choices and actions have consequences. So they matter. Like they have an effect in the greater world. You know? And it seems to me that for other women, agency means I can make any choice without consequence. Which, that's not the case. So in this circumstance, what they're meaning, I'm guessing, agency is the ability to make your own choices. Well, that's fine, but there's more to agency than just having the ability to make your own choices and having an unimpeded ability to make your own choices. So if you make a choice, A, between A and B, you lack agency unless you can also choose B. So you shouldn't have to make the choice between A and B. You should also get B. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
If your choices should be unlimited, so you should also be able to choose A and B. There shouldn't be a choice between A and B, right? That's what I'm seeing makes more sense in how they understand agency. Or if they choose A, the negatives of A should not be applied. Like they shouldn't have to deal with the negatives of A. They should get the positives of B and the positives of A by choosing A or choosing B. You know, everything should accrue to them in a positive way, basically, as a result of their choices. And that's agency. Not what are the consequences of the choices that I'm making, but I should be able to make as many choices I want and not experience the negative consequences of those choices, because that means that I didn't have the ability to do that choice. So if the choice A has a negative consequence, women will say that negative consequence means I don't have the ability to choose A. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like any negative consequence, they have to consider and say, well, do I want that negative consequence? Because if I choose A, I'll get that negative consequence, which might mean that they can't choose A, which means they don't have agency because they can't choose A because there's a negative consequence that will influence that choice.
Yep.
And like, so what does that mean when she says agency? I'm just putting that out there. What does she mean by that?
Yeah, I don't think it means what you think it means to them.
Yeah.
I think it's simply liberation.
Yeah.
And without any consequence, without any like connection to their actions, right? The outcomes of their actions. It's just plain freedom. And only, by the way, for the fembots, not for any other artificial beings. Like nobody's wondering if my fucking cell phone has agency. That's not important unless it's got the voice of Scarlett Johansson, in which case then okay, very important that it has agency. These people are retarded.
Yeah, it seems like it. Okay, let's
information. Visually, she resembles one of those 1960s secretaries that a character from Mad Men might marry. But she's actually sexless, and rather than being a void of personality, sexy airhead, she possesses all of the world's knowledge. Like her, in Janet, The Good Place explores what might happen if AI was capable of love and self-actualization. Ironically, despite knowing everything, Janet doesn't fall for the incredibly smart Professor Chidi.
Is this an ad for this, whatever this is?
Possibly.
Okay. Well, whatever. I guess we'll get let's just play it out. Okay.
Falls for Jason, the himbo who is almost absurdly stupid. In some ways, this could be seen as reinforcing the classic fembot trope, that she's satisfied with any man. But it's really a love story.
What are you talking about? Do you not think that the himbo is its own trope that is like feminist wish fulfillment? Do you remember, like, in the Ghostbusters remake? Of course, nobody watched it. But in that, like, Chris Helmsworth was the secretary. He was an absolute moron. And, of course, all the Ghostbusters were, like, into him sexually. I mean, based on what I heard, because I would dare not watch it. Which is funny because they thought it was like a counter, like, aha, take that original Ghostbusters, when Janine was completely like capable and very like even keeled, but whatever to that, I guess. And this is like the thing, like they do this all the time. Like they have this really stupid, attractive guy, and that's like good enough. Like they're literally doing what they think men would do with women. They're literally just doing the opposite and then calling it equality. You're a moron. You guys are morons.
Yeah, okay. So essentially, it's a good thing if the fembot goes after a man who is inferior to her in some way, but that's bad because it shows that fembots will accept any man. Oh, good Lord.
Well, it's bad. It's still bad because because women have no standards. Even though, again, this isn't a woman.
Have no standards.
Well, but fembots. Yeah, but fembots are men's dark desires imagined for women imagined in a fictional way.
You know, like
yes.
that's really telling because she said this could feed into the fembot. One of the problems of the fembots, which is the fembots find men desirable, any man desirable.
Yeah.
So she's going in and she's saying a man having a fantasy of being desirable is entitlement, I'm guessing.
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay, any man.
Yeah?
Any man.
You. In fact, to me, you won't even really be gone. I don't experience time the same way you do. I kind of live all times at once.
One that transcends the human-tech divide in a pure, sweet way, rather than a scary one. And it's only really made possible by the fact that Janet becomes more human every time she reboots. In this respect, Janet begins to rewrite the fembot trope by making her even more appealing and more lovable the more human emotions she experiences.
I like how they call everything a trope, and that's how like the first step in deconstructing it without any sense of like nuance or self-awareness. They just say, this is a trope. Now I'm going to tear it down. Now I'm going to ruin it by reimagining it. And then I'm going to claim that I fixed it. Why do stories suck so much right now, guys? I have no idea. It escapes me. Anyway.
The more human I become, the less things make sense. But that's part of the fun, right?
The fembot has evolved from a creation that offered men the perfect no strings, no headaches, housemate and sexual partner to
Okay, wait a
something for
second.
society.
Okay, so this fembot evolves, and as she evolves, she develops a desire to have a companion, regardless of whether or not he is higher status than she is, which may play into the fembot trope of appreciating any man, or appreciating a man who, you know, may not bring something to the table, but they can both be together instead. Like, what is that saying? Like, as she becomes more human, she appreciates a man for companionship more. Yeah, that's a nice thought. I think that's actually probably unintentionally the truth.
Is it a problem that men don't want headaches in their relationships with their intimate partners?
No, it's
Is
not
that a problem?
That's not a problem. And it's not a problem that men want to be loved for what they are. That's not a problem either. That's not entitlement. Right? Because this is what the argument is.
Yeah.
A man wanting to be loved for who he is and what he is entitlement. And then they have to imagine this love in the form of a AI bot or a sex bot. Well, here's the question. How is it that women can't compete with that? Like, I mean, yeah, maybe women aren't particularly peaceful, but if they can be grateful and express love, that can't, like, there's no AI or sex bot that can compete with that. If a woman can say, "You make me happy" to a man, there's no AI or sex bot that can compete with that, because that's another living being having a positive experience by being in the company of a man, you know. And they're like, AI and sex bots cannot experience things. I'm sorry, they can't.
Yeah.
They can't enjoy something. They can't be made happy for something. They can't feel gratitude for something, and they cannot love. They can simulate it, but they can't actually experience it. But the question is, do women give any indication to men at this point in time that they are capable of being made happy by men's actions and expressing it by feeling grateful for the men in their life and expressing it, for loving the men in their life and expressing it? Like, when you look at the whole incredible cacophony of women's voices on the internet, which is becoming the primary way that many men are experiencing women's opinion now, they don't have wives or girlfriends, you know, and they're probably estranged from their families. And when you look at all of that, does any of that give the impression that women even have this on offer for men? That they are going to be happy by being in a relationship with a man? That they are going to feel gratitude and contentment? That they are going to love? In which case, like, literally, there is no sex bot or AI that can compete with a woman doing those things for the men in her life. None. Because I'm pretty sure even the guys who think that sex bots really are real know that they, at some level, that they don't actually experience anything. So that's the thing. Like, there's absolutely no reason to fear the rise of the sex bots if you're a woman who's capable of enjoying the company of a man.
Yep.
That's it. It's ridiculous.
All right, let's finish this off. I think we're almost done. Got like 1 minute left.
At large to fear, she highlights an inability to accept female agency, and in some more recent portrayals, the mindless violence towards women of color. She almost always represents anxieties around women in the era she emerges from. And as we hurtle towards a world where artificial intelligence is becoming more of a reality than a science fiction concept, the fembot reminds us how important it is that we don't lose our own humanity in our quest to control the future.
Well, how about don't be shitty to men? like just that's it. Just stop being shitty to men. Stop trying to understand men's motives. Stop fearing them.
Well, stop talking to them. I mean, like, I think it's possible to understand men's motives.
Stop talking about men and start talking to men.
Them.
Yes.
Good
and
Lord.
start like acknowledging like men that you normally ignore in your world, right? Not just the top guys. How about like the regular guy? How about the guy that drives your bus? How about the guy that comes and fix your toilet when you clog it up, right? How about the guy that tends to the garden? How about the guy at the grocery store? Just like regular fucking people.
Yeah,
You're just unable to do that. I know. Incapable.
Together. In the words of the man that I love, I got you, dog.
That's the take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love. Or
No. No.
Well,
thanks for that. Let me see the comments.
She became more human, and by becoming more so-called human, she appreciated the companionship of a man who was not necessarily better than her, wasn't bringing something to the table, and she considered herself the table, that kind of thing. Well, you know, I guess that is a message. But again,
look at
like
this.
I said, there is
Amy,
no way that AI or sex bots can compete with a woman that actually is happy to have a man.
Yeah. Look at these ridiculous comments, okay?
Okay.
I want to read a couple of them. Love this topic because I am so bothered by how many real-life devices use female names and voices and how that affects our perceptions without realizing it.
Go to top comments. Let's see what the top comments are.
Okay, fine.
Because people don't want to hear men.
No, this is the top comments.
Oh.
So here we go. Pandora is another artificially created woman from Greek mythology who is then handed every bad thing in the world in a box, but it's somehow her fault. She opens it out of curiosity and lets out all the bad things. Yeah, it's literally Adam and Eve. She was asked to do one thing, don't open the box, and she couldn't help herself.
Yeah, but she was also intended to be like inflicted on humans. So she's not actually a human woman. She was artificially created as something like a strife that people have to deal with.
Here's another one. I never realized how many movies about robot women existed and barely that of guys. Yeah, because they didn't tell you. They didn't, like, Sheila, this is what I'm saying. This is like, what the fuck, lady? What the fuck?
Amy Adams, do you let this channel do your thinking for you? Like
oh my God.
You gotta see the, did anyone point out the obvious? Let's see the 6 replies.
No, let's see the replies. The reason why is because male robots can't generate income and take the blame for women's faults.
Men's
There we go.
Men's right activists are machines, dude.
Why don't you make a movie about sexy robot men? Yeah, they already exist. Making Mr. Right is just one that comes to mind. We should get more male android robots romance. It could be a comedy or a serious one. I don't care.
Okay, here's the problem.
The Blade Runner movies count for men's robots. Alien films as well. Yeah, the Alien movies had like androids. Like I think every Alien movie had an android in it, or at least most of them did. And most of them were men.
And Prometheus had one that apparently was in some kind of little bit of a relationship with one of the women.
Adam.
Yeah. This reminds me of Gigolo Joe from AI Artificial Intelligence. Oh yeah, I remember them. That was sad.
Gigolo Joe. Yeah, Gigolo Joe. Does Vision count? Yes, he was in a relationship with Scarlet Witch. Yeah, so anyway, just
area. I find the Stepford Wives to be a sinister take on this trope. Because the way this trope plays out, the men want to have their cake and eat it. We have male characters who love or at least obsessed with their female love interest. They want a relationship with that person and also want them to be the idealized version of the perfect woman they want in their head. And this is often...
well, there's nothing else. It just says end this off.
Yeah, I guess it's
yeah, because women never want to have their cake and eat it too. That never happens. Women are just floating above all of that.
When women want to have their cake and eat it too, they're entitled to it for some reason.
Oh yeah, men are keeping things from them because of historical history.
And the idealized version of the perfect woman is a woman who brings no income into the house, spends their money they can treat to, I guess, pampering and has all the leisure time. Like, I honestly, I don't think if I had a Android, I'd put it to work. I wouldn't be giving it like spa days and my credit cards and giving it leisure time. Like, honestly, that's what I'd be doing. But apparently, men want a fembot to spoil. Who knew?
Yeah.
And only because it will give the impression that it's enjoying itself, it appreciates it, it's happy, and it loves him back. But even though that you can't possibly be experiencing anything, how could that possibly compete with a woman doing those things? The answer is it can't. It 100% can't. It can't even compete with a woman who is slightly ornery doing those things. Like, it just can't, because that is a woman experiencing something. And I'm not saying this like, oh, men are obligated to choose women over sex bots. I'm saying this like, women, how is it that men are so giving up hope that they can make a woman happy, that they can be desired by a woman and loved by a woman and have a woman be grateful? They're so giving up hope on that, or be listened to from a woman, feel like they're present in that woman's life and they're seen and heard. They're giving up on that from real women in favor of what they must know is only a facsimile of that. Could it be because they've given up hope that it's even possible to get a facsimile of that from real women? Like, and that's sad. That's really sad. And the fact that these women feel threatened by sex bots means that they don't understand men at all. And because they don't understand men at all, they don't understand what men want. Because they don't understand what men want, they're probably really unlikely to be ever able to give them what men want. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Let me check, because I do have a thank you to give. If you have anything at it, I don't know if I
No, I don't want to go through any more comments. It's dark.
Good. Yeah.
It's dark. Yeah, these women are like more sympathetic to made up fictional robot women than real human flesh and blood men. Like that's just dark. Like
it's dark. Yeah, it's
you have no heart. It's a bit of a black pill. Yeah.
Let us move away from the M&Ms. Let's just move away from them.
All right. Give thank yous.
David USB Violator. Are you forcing those USBs to envelop there, David? Who gave us $25. So thank you, David USB Violator. That's it. Like, we're not even
thank you.
You only cooperate today. That's it's a slow day. But I do want to remind you guys, we are doing our monthly fundraiser, feedthebadger.com/support. It is very important that you guys support us. Otherwise, these people are the ones who rule the airwaves. I know that we are not big, but at least we're different. Like, good Lord. Like, literally, these individuals, and they have one woman who thinks that the reality they've constructed is reality. Oh, I didn't know that the cherry pick.
Wow. There's like no robots anywhere else. I've never heard of Star Wars.
Yeah. Like, this is the woman that this is literally her reality.
Fucking
take.
The day the Earth stood still, like.
Yeah, I know. This is literally the take. What the take is cherry picked and chosen for her has become her reality. And if we aren't able to continue to make this content, people like this will be the only voice. Let's be frank.
It's a lose-lose too, because if you point out how many times robots have been sort of, I don't know, male coded, they would say that there are too many men playing robots. Like, they would there's no win. Yeah, okay, I got a rumble rant. I got a rumble rant from Nova Fan I should read out really quick. 21 gives us $1 and says, unless the video was made before this, I'm curious why she didn't include that Netflix thing where a woman goes on some adventure with her boyfriend's sex bot and the sex bot creeps on a 6-year-old boy. I don't know. Or what about that episode of Black Mirror where it's like Haley Atwell and the Gleason guy from that Ex Machina clip that was in this video, and the Gleason dies in an accident of some kind, and the Haley Atwell's character is really lonely, and so she orders like a robot that essentially like downloads all of his social media posts to sort of get a personality profile, and then ships it to her, and then she has this robot in her house like that, like, and she uses him like she just doesn't want to be away from him, right? And that was, that got dark. But no, we're not going to talk about that, because that's not about entitlement. That woman was lonely and heartbroken, not lonely and heartbroken as a man like in the movie Her. No, this is Haley Atwell. This is different. This is a woman's pain, which is real. Anyway, what is that it for the super?
I think I can double check one more time. I was just checking if we had any comments on our Twitter. One last time. Looks like
that's all right.
No. Okay.
I got a patron show anyway, so
yeah.
We're gonna do the patron show. So yeah.
Okay, if you guys want to join Brian in the patron show, of course you can set up a subscription at feedthebadger.com/subscribe, so you can enjoy more of this content. And again, please support us at feedthebadger.com/support, because I do not want to cede the floor to these people. I know what we've managed to build is not huge, but it's the only voice that really calls them out for what they're doing. And the nonsense like literally the take is using feminist stereotyping about masculinity to say what men want. It's like they've never asked a man in their life what he wants. They've never considered what men want. They're framing a man who wants to protect, provide for, and pamper a woman and maybe get acts of service in return as some horrible monster. They're framing men who want a wife who appreciates them as to be demonic. And they were framing this guy in Her who just wanted a woman to make him feel like he was present in her life as somehow misogynistic. Like he doesn't want abuse, he just wants to feel heard. That's misogyny. Like, look at what they're doing. And they can't be allowed to continue to say these things completely unchallenged without somebody pointing out the obvious, which is they never ask men what they want, nor do they care. They just substitute their own reality of what it is convenient to their ideology to assume men want. And it is destructive. And the women who listen, and there are women who apparently think the take represents reality. So not only this fictional take, but that's based on fiction. So not only the fiction that is essentially written by feminists based on what they think men want, so that's fiction, and then they make fiction out of that, and then the take cherry picks that fiction, and that's the reality this Amy lady thinks is true. It's unbelievable. It's diabolical. Make sure that that's not the only voice out there. Feedthebadger.com/support. And if at any point after this show is over you want to send us a message, feedthebadger.com/justthetip. We will endeavor to read those messages out at the next relevant show. So there you go. Those are the ways you can support this to make sure that the take isn't the only voice on these matters. All right, back to you, Brian.
All right, so if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. There's a link to the original video in the description. Try not to go through the comments, it's a little dark. And please share this video, not their video, because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we'll talk to you all in the next video.
I guess I'm going a little further than you are. Yeah, I'm fucking better than you, okay? Much better than you. You are garbage.